What are the reasons why the US has come top of the Global Competitiveness Report rankings?
Well, it's true that the United States is an extremely competitive economy. What we see is that the country is endowed with extremely innovative and sophisticated companies that are operating within the context of very efficient factor markets, particularly labor markets, but also goods markets and financial markets. This is buttressed by an excellent educational, particularly university system, very high company spending on research and development, excellent collaboration between universities and industry in research and development, and all of this, of course, with the backdrop of an extremely large market, large domestic market size, which means that the companies can benefit from large economies of scale. Basically, all of these things coming together to make the U.S. what is arguably the country with the most innovative and productive potential in the world. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that everything's perfect. We're also seeing some weaknesses in the more basic areas that we measure. In particular, the macroeconomic imbalances that we have been talking about for a number of years now. These are areas that certainly the U.S. needs to focus on to ensure that it continues to be very competitive going into the future.
And how have the European countries done in the rankings?
We see that there's quite a bit of diversity in the European rankings, countries quite throughout the ranking. There are some countries that are really very much at the top, notably the Nordic countries, particularly Denmark, Sweden, and Finland. These are three countries that are within the top 6 of the ranking. They do very well because they have very healthy macroeconomic environments. They have very well-run government institutions, very transparent and efficient. And they've also been placing a lot of emphasis over the years on improving the educational system, which has been a very important spur for innovation in these countries. Other countries that are doing very well in the ranking, the United Kingdom and Germany, still within the top 10. These are two countries that get very good marks for the quality of infrastructure, particularly Germany. They have excellent factor markets, particularly financial and goods markets in terms of their efficiency, and also very, very sophisticated business cultures. So these things really make these two countries very competitive as well. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, we see countries like Italy being one of the founding members of the EU, and that is ranked quite a bit lower at 46th. Italy is doing very well in some of the more complex areas, business sophistication, the depth of the and extent of the clusters in the economy. These are very strong factors for the economy. But at the same time, Italy is doing less well in some of the more basic areas, particularly, again, the management of the public finances, significant weakness, big buildup of public debt, and also weaknesses in the area of public institutions. For example, concerns about the independence of the judicial system in meting out justice. Now, just turning quickly to talk about the new accession countries, the countries that have joined the European Union since 2004, we see again that there's quite a variety of performances. Estonia still leading out of all of these countries, ranked 27th overall because of excellent macroeconomic management, very, very well-run government institutions, very transparent, and also a strong focus on technological adoption, which has clearly been improving the productive potential of the economy. At the other side of the spectrum, again, we see countries like Poland, Poland being the largest country to have joined the European Union since 2004, where we do see a lot of weaknesses in the area of public institutions, a lack of trust in the political class against a backdrop of very weak public finances.
Turning to Asia, what are the underlying reasons for China and India's continued good showing?
It's true that both China and India do quite well in the rankings, and certainly among the large emerging BRIC economies, they are the two highest ranked. There are some clear common factors that are leading to their relatively high rankings. For example, the very large market size that the companies in both countries can profit from in terms of economies reaping the economies of scale. There's also quite a bit of innovative potential in both countries, high company spending on research and development, for example, and actually quite a bit of patenting in both countries, particularly given their stage of development. So these are things that are very important, although we are seeing that India, in terms of inherent business sophistication, is doing a bit better than China. Now, China is also doing quite well in terms of macroeconomic stability, very manageable debt levels and low inflation, things of that nature, whereas India actually is still struggling in this area. In terms of areas that both countries really need to focus on going forward in order to continue to improve their competitiveness, both will really need to look at improving the health of their workforce, also sort of increasing enrollment rates at all levels of the educational ladder, and also upgrading infrastructure in their economies.
Finally, what other countries are notable in this year's rankings?
Well, there are a number of countries that we're noting in the different regions. If you look at Latin America, you'll see that Chile is once again top ranked out of all countries. The country's been really handling its macroeconomic environment very well, and this has freed up resources in order to upgrade infrastructure and improve the educational system. Chile also is endowed with very well-functioning factor markets, particularly the financial market, which is very sophisticated, particularly by regional standards. Turning to sub-Saharan Africa, again, it's South Africa that's leading the way, really well ahead of other countries in the region, and doing quite well, in fact, in areas that are quite complex, things like factor market sophistication and efficiency, as well as basic innovation potential and business sophistication. And in fact, in terms of innovation, South Africa has a higher amount of patenting going on than a number of European countries. Finally, I would just mention Saudi Arabia. We have a number of countries that have just joined the rankings this year, and Saudi Arabia entered at the highest rank, 35th, just behind China this year. Saudi Arabia with a number of strengths in more basic areas, particularly macroeconomic stability, like many oil producers, doing quite well with large oil revenues. And basically profiting from that in order to have a government surplus and low debt and things of that nature. We're also seeing, of course, that in Saudi Arabia the companies are profiting from a quite large market size. But one thing that we do note in Saudi Arabia is that it will need to upgrade the educational system in order to move to higher levels